Welcome to Lessons in Leadership. Steve Adubato with Mary Gamba. Yes, right after we were taping all day today, and we're right after lunch. Mary and I sent a text to each other and said, let's match what we're wearing today. Didn't we do that, Mary?
We did not do it, and it is spectacular. I'm not going to tell you my final outfit for the day, and we'll see if we match again, but it's amazing how many times, and we wear different colors. You've got red ties, you've got blue, you've got greens, you've got polka dot, you have gray, and the fact that we both sat down, I was dying laughing. So that's a sign it's going to be a good day.
I don't think it's spectacular. I think it's weird, frankly, but that's another story.
This is what 24 years of working together, we mind meld.
Jacquelyn, I'm sorry you had to listen to that. Jacquelyn Reardon is the head of U.S. marketing at Franklin Templeton, a great organization. Jacquelyn, great to have you with us. A, and B, that promotion, that title just happened as we're taping yesterday, correct?
It did. Yeah, they heard I was going to be on your show, so they said that deserves a promotion.
That's awesome. Hey, share for us not only your role, but Franklin Templeton, who has been a big part of our universe for a long time.
Great. Yeah, Franklin Templeton is a global asset manager, and I have the privilege of leading our U.S. marketing organization. So we partner very closely with all of the distribution channels that work closely with financial advisors and investors to hopefully secure a better financial future for more Americans.
And along those lines, to the 529 folks out there, our kids are going to school, college, largely because of the 529 plan we established from the beginning when they were born through the folks at Franklin Templeton. Talk to us, Jacquelyn. This survey, it's called the Voice of the American Workplace Survey. Who did you survey and what did you survey them about?
Yes. So this is the fourth year we've actually conducted this research, and we rebranded this year to Voice of the American Workplace. So it used to be Voice of the American Worker. We've partnered. Yeah, it's Workplace now because for the last 3 years, we've surveyed employees, and this year we've actually been able to add the employer voice as well. So we partner with the Harris Poll to conduct this research, and it's really meant to check in with employees about key dimensions of their health, namely financial health, and importantly, identify some of the key resources and benefits that they need from their employer to create a better.
Are you adjusting your camera, multitasking as you're on the air with us? That is so impressive.
Sorry, I had a light about to fall. So
that also shows why you're the head of U.S. marketing. But go ahead. So you talked to workers and
employers.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what were some of the most significant findings?
So as you can imagine, this year it's so exciting that we have both perspectives because every single year we see that employees are stressed out, they're looking for more from their employees, et cetera, employers, et cetera, et cetera. But this year we were finally able to compare the two. So what are employers doing to help support employees? And does that match up with what employees need? And unsurprisingly, there's a disconnect, which is okay. There's some synergies, but there's a lot of misalignment. And we're hoping that our research can really help highlight some of the key opportunities that employers can spend their next best dollar in the place that's going to be the most effective for employees to seek financial independence, which that's one of the key findings we find is that people are seeking financial independence more than they're seeking things like traditional retirement. Saving for retirement is super important, but so is the full spectrum of financial needs like budgeting, saving for children's future education, creating an income stream later in life, healthcare costs. So really approaching employees holistically in a more personalized manner to sort of meet their unique financial needs is the huge call to actions for employees today.
Important and very important information. Mary, please.
Yeah, and Jackie, I had the luxury of looking at the report, and we'll put up the website, right? People can go and read the report, get the summary. One thing that I was very surprised to hear about is pet insurance. I said I'm a huge dog lover, and I remember we were talking, and I said, wow. What other things were surprising? I mean, I wouldn't even think that an employer, and Steve, you and I are going to talk offline. Maybe we'll start providing pet insurance to the team members that we bring on board. But what were some of the other surprises, Jackie, that you have found from the survey in terms of what employees really want that maybe they didn't want 5, 10, 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think the pet insurance thing stuck out to me as well. I think what's not surprising, I'll start with that, is that everyone's stressed out. The surprising thing are some of the things that employees are seeking. So employees are absolutely stressed out. 96% said they have some area of concern, but all of their top concerns are financial. So things like income, maintaining their standard of living, retirement savings, healthcare cost. So it's not surprising that they're really looking to employers for a more diverse set of benefits. To your point, though, the surprising thing is things like pet insurance. 78% of people are looking for that. 84% are actually looking for student loan repayment assistance.
Wait,
which I think
how many percent for student loan?
84%. So
Wow.
I know that that's definitely something that we see in the news a lot, and we get pings quite a bit for newsletters and webinars, et cetera. So people are really, really focused on this whole concept of debt, and unfortunately, it's pretty robust when it comes to student loans as well. We've done a couple deep dives in debt in our research in the past, and it's definitely a huge roadblock that's keeping many folks, specifically millennials, from meeting other key financial milestones like retirement or buying a house, et cetera. But the most surprising finding is that the number one benefit that people are looking for are personalized benefits. So 85% of employees are looking for more personalized benefits. So that's an interesting one, because logistically, how do we think about rolling something like that out? How does an employer sort of deal with that and leverage? But it's something really interesting, I think, for us to collectively solve for in the future, so that people are only leveraging the benefits that make the most sense to them. And likely that's going to, increase the loyalty and retention that they have within their workforce.
Yeah, let me follow up on that. So it's interesting. We talk about what workers, people who are on a team, what they're struggling with, what their wants are, what their needs are. Again, they're stressors, if you will. But those of us who are employers, and I'm proud to be someone who works with a team and have, it's frankly the pressure, the responsibility of employing a significant number of people. It's also it's a blessing, it's an honor, but sometimes it's not fun, and sometimes there is stress and there is pressure. So here's my question: what did you find from quote unquote employers that they were struggling with? Because some of us also struggle with retention of talented employees. We struggle with, well, you want college tuition to be reimbursed, but we don't know if you're going to stay with us.
Right.
So then how much can we invest in you? Not to mention balancing the books and making payroll every 2 weeks and providing all those benefits. Long story short, what about us?
Yeah. And it's a really stark picture as well for employers. They've been dealing with a lot the last couple of years. Like, think about the Great Resignation, and then we called it the Great Boomerang, and it hasn't really gotten much easier since. To your point, they're dealing with turnover. That's still a big concern. But the biggest thing that they're dealing with is this increased expectation from their employees. And we have a great quote in our research that says 82% of employers said that the workforce of today has insatiable employees that continue to ask for more and more. And that's really challenging, because I think most employers are doing their absolute best to align resources in the areas where they think are going to be the most effective for their employees. But there's a misalignment there. They're missing the mark, and they're not putting the money against the things that are going to be the most meaningful from their employees. I think the tough part about that too is you can build it, but will they come? And there's lots of employees who are saying, I don't even know that certain benefits exist. I'm relying on things like email to find out about benefits, which we know is completely flawed. And
That's
then
right.
ultimately, even if they know that those benefits are there, they're having trouble even understanding what that benefit is or what the value is to them from a monetary standpoint.
Listen, employers, employees, wants, needs, stresses, and we are ultimately all in this together. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. And thank you so much to Jacquelyn Reardon, who is the head of U.S. marketing at Franklin Templeton. We thank you so much for joining us, and we learned a lot from just listening to you, Jackie. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
You got it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, the Helix, Fedway Associates Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague, Mary Gamba, has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media. We're now joined by Sylvester Lukasiewicz, who is editor, SPL Films. Good to see you, Sylvester.
Good to see you, Steve. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Sylvester.
Now, hold on. We brought Elvin on, our director, who brought us to you. And well, he'll be gone in just a second, and then he'll direct the show, not on air. Let me ask you this, Elvin. When you introduced us to Sylvester when we started this series several years ago, the most impressive attribute of Sylvester, not just as an editor, but as a leader, is?
He's understanding. He's patient and he's kind.
I'm sorry, you're talking about me or Sylvester, I'm sorry.
Let me tell you something. I will say this on air. Sylvester is the best editor that I know. Best, hands down.
The best.
The best.
Because? Yes. Because he's patient, understanding.
And his skill. You know, he has that vision that I'm looking for.
Wow.
I have to say something then. This is my response. The only reason I accepted this job is because it came from Elvin.
What? Hold on,
That's how it works, Steve. This industry is so tight. It's really, you really mold with each other over time. I mean, Elvin and I, we went to the same school. We went to the same program. Elvin, do you remember the program name?
At that time, it was Corporate Cable Communications back then.
Communications.
So I want to be clear on this. Now, by way of background, Sylvester not only has his entire operation, and you can check out his website, but he's been the editor of our Lessons in Leadership series from day one. And that happened because our director, Elvin Badger, brought us to him. He brought him to us. It's so interesting. Mary, real quick, before we let Elvin go back and direct the show, teamwork, the chemistry, and again, we're not here just to kiss our butts in public like this, but the truth is, we haven't spent a lot of time in the same space physically together, but this is a well-oiled machine and team, is it not?
It is. And I don't want to jinx it, Steve. We started this day. You said that I was jinxing some things by saying some things. So I don't want to jinx it. But Sylvester and Elvin, we've said it a million times. I don't know personally how I would do this. As I've often said, I have zero producer background. I have a degree in psychology. Steve said, let's just do this podcast. You can be an executive producer. That's when it was just on audio. Then we turned it into a video series, and just working together with both of you and just having you coach, mentor me in terms of what you need from me, what you don't need from me. And Sylvester, thank you for that. You get so creative with the programs that you put together. You find great video or photos, or if you're not sure, you say, Mary, can you please go and do this? And just having that level of direction and support, I could not do it without either one of you. So thank you for making my life easier, because as you both do as well, I juggle so many different things in addition to this show. The show is a fifth of my job that I do. And it just makes it that much more enjoyable and fun doing it together with both of you, and you too, Steve.
Oh, yeah, she threw me in at the end. That's great. So, Alvin, thank you so much, not only for directing the show, but bringing Sylvester to us and adding to our team. Thank you, Alvin. Sylvester, let's talk. The theme in many ways of this segment, and one of the biggest reasons we wanted to have you on, and P.S., behind the camera here is Scarlett, and you all know each other and have a lot of history together, is teamwork. It's so many cliches, Sylvester, around, oh, you teamwork, we're a great team, all for one, one for all. The reality is that's who and what this team is. Talk about it.
Yes, I think going back to day one when we started working together, first of all, episode number 14 was my first one, but first one that went over Zoom remotely. And so it's a very interesting study for me, because as I mentioned with communications, and Elvin and I studied that back in the day in last century, corporate and cable communications over distance, something that is not tangible, but effective. And so the ability to produce something for almost 4 years, 3 months short of 4 years, without meeting someone. I'm talking about team lessons in leadership. It's been really something groundbreaking for me. And I appreciate that we were able to, of course, with the aid of Elvin and the people that we know in common, but it really is this sort of connection that you develop over time, whether in school or in the playground or in church or wherever it is you are, you carry that with you. And at one point, all these roads merge and say, hey, this is the time, this is the place where we need to create something. And then fusion. And I think that's what happened with Lessons in Leadership. And I think we've had many projects with Elvin and Scarlin. You know, we work during the day in the same place. It doesn't change. It's the same kind of connectivity and sort of checks and balances where I know that Elvin has my back and Mary has my back. And if she says, hey, Sil, can you look for this or change that or double check? I got her back as well. And so it's almost like reigniting all the time, and it's never going pale or stale or boring. So I think that's what teamwork is about. It's always going back and forth, listening to each other and observing. I mean, the fact that we were able to meet in person back in January, it was so solidifying for me, because a handshake or a drink with someone, or hugging Steve, hugging Mary, it was so visceral. So the first time you meet someone for the first time is like a first date, and you automatically.
I never saw it that way.
We had our,
I did, because we went to the High Lawn, right? We went to the High Lawn and
up at the High Lawn to our friends up there. Go ahead, Mary.
Exactly. And Sylvester was there before me, and he was standing at the bar. I don't even know if he had an alcoholic beverage or not. It looks like seltzer.
No, he did
Maybe
not.
there's vodka in it. And then I was there, and I was like, Sylvester. Because we're the first 4 years.
4 years.
And the funny thing is, when people meet me, they're always like, you're taller than you look in Zoom, right? Because I am. I'm pretty tall. I'm almost 5'8". So that's usually the first thing that I get. Or I get some people don't even recognize me in person, because you look different, you carry yourself different. So, but yes, categorizing it like a first date was definitely true.
But you know what's interesting about what Mary just said and what you said, Sylvester, and again, I think about this a lot. I think about chemistry. I think about this thing, people, culture, chemistry. I don't want to play word games with this, but people say it's virtually impossible, and I use the word virtually on purpose. It's virtually impossible in a virtual world to have chemistry and a culture and teamwork and collaboration. But Sylvester, that's not really true, because there are people who work together side by side in offices in person, and they have absolutely terrible chemistry, and the culture is not collaborative, is not trusting, as you just said. It is not all for one, one for all. As you said, you have each other's backs. Talk about that the remote world doesn't stop us, and not just us. This isn't about us. It's about people who choose to be collaborative, respectful, and trusting. Please.
Yes, you're right. And I think the solution to that is, and I think Zoom, the whole culture of working remotely, woke a lot of people up, not just from being on camera and sitting up and making sure the background is clear or whatever. It's about listening. It's about ability to give someone something to say, and not just one way and everyone forgot about it. Something that will be picked up and carried on with whatever the project you're working on. Is it just a staff meeting or production meeting, or is it just a one-on-one conversation with your doctor? I mean, it's sort of the communication doesn't change. The chain can be broken by so many things. I mean, it could be technical issues. It could be the timing or just kind of,
or the internet.
Yes, but also see how my hands are shaking because some people are nervous, and I'm just visualizing it, because it does take not maybe practice, but sort of getting used to talking to no one, right? Because I'm literally talking to on my phone right now, but I know that there's Mary, there's Steve, there's Elvin, and probably 3 or 4 other people.
You don't see, hold on a second. Sorry for interrupting while you're talking about listening. So Sylvester, you don't see us right now?
I see you in the periphery of my vision because I have my camera that I'm looking at, but I can see your motions. I can see if you pick up your book or your prop, I can see it, but it's not where I'm looking into the eyes of my listener. So I think going back to leadership and sort of communication, you have to understand that your message is still continuing, even though you're not seeing the people you're speaking to.
What it takes, Mary, we had a guest earlier, we were taping a long day, and let's just say this guest had important things to say, and it was powerful, except he was challenged by the experience. I know he was challenged by the experience, and let's just say, Mary, he didn't come across in the way that I'm pretty sure he wanted to, and a lot of it's about what Sylvester's talking about.
Totally.
Practicing this. We didn't make the rules. These are the rules. Go ahead, Mary. We got a minute left with Sylvester.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing that I want to talk about was Sylvester, and it's something that I have coached my boys who are literally, by the time this airs, they're going to be 19 and 22 years old, and they thank me for this, is literally building trust with people and actually caring about what you're doing for those people, with those people as a team. And Sylvester, just talk a little bit about that. As you said, we have about a minute left together, but talk about your level of caring. I mean, from the first time and I'm going to use air quotes, interviewed you, and I do that because we technically didn't. You came to us from Elvin. We were like, this guy's it. He's going to be great. But we could tell that
director. Elvin
yes,
Badger,
Elvin, our director. But sure, we could tell that you cared, that you really, did. So talk a little bit about caring and why that's important in a relationship.
Absolutely. I think, again, like you said, when we first spoke with Steve and you on the phone, I automatically, right away, started picking up on things that I can be an asset, I can contribute with, or if there's something that I need to pick up and learn on because you guys have a particular format of the program or the way you have your deliverables and things like that, you quickly, right away, adjust to what you can do, how quickly you can do it. And that's the kind of arsenal, if you pardon the pun, it's something that you can always jump in with and say, hey, I got your back, and I care for what we're doing. And with these things, I'll be able to achieve if you miss something or something came in late or whatever the issue might be. So I think always that sort of safety net first. Murphy's Law, everything will go wrong. So, but in the long run, it's caring. It's about the end product and that everything comes together at the end. And like Steve says, all the graphics and all the visuals, and you say B-roll photos, music, sound, all that stuff, it all comes in at the end every week, week after week, without taking a break. So that's sort of, that's how I care in the long run for 4 years now, that the show continues, the message continues. Lessons in Leadership don't take summer vacations. There's no summer school, right? So I think that's what it is. It's really just caring about what you do, what you're hired to do, but also feel passionate about, because I do feel passionate about this.
Some folks may wonder, why are we taking a segment like this and airing it on our sister series one-on-one? Here's the reason. Because teamwork, it isn't just teamwork on our sister series, Lessons in Leadership. It's for all of you who are a part of a team. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about leadership and teamwork, but we're all on a team. You may see yourself working in a silo or I'm in my lane. We don't have that luxury. So this collaboration is really an effort at us to say, look, there are mistakes, problems happen all the time, but when they do, this team tries to come together as quickly as possible and figure out, hey, how do we deal with it? How do we fix it? And what do we learn from it? And so to our longtime editor from day one on Lessons in Leadership, Sylvester, I want to say thank you. And also thank you to our director, once again, Elvin Badger, who brought us together, make our team better. Thanks, Sylvester. Appreciate it. He'll be editing this his own segment in just a couple of weeks. Thanks, Sylvester.
Thank you. Stay
with us. We'll be right back. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, the Helix, Fedway Associates, Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856. Welcome back to Lessons in Leadership. I want to thank Sylvester, Elvin, our director, and what a great team. Hopefully the people aren't saying, hey, what do? They just congratulate themselves? No, we do more than that. So Mary, there's a quote. Mary, one of the great things Mary does behind the scenes, in addition to being our executive producer and working with Elvin and Sylvester and Scarlett and our team, and Amy also, in our closed caption, is Mary provides all this background material for me, so I look like I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about. She has all these leadership quotes. Here's a good one, Mary, right? This comes from Walt Disney. I don't know why you picked this, but I'm going to ask you. Walt Disney said, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Why'd you pick that?
So many things in our lives it's easy to say, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to work out, I'm going to start a leadership podcast. If we go back to when you and I were talking about, we were coaching leadership. We have an executive coaching firm, Stand and Deliver, where we do leadership coaching. And to your credit, you said, wow, why don't we do at that point, it was an audio podcast. And most people would just talk about it, maybe make some calls. You actually did it. You made those connections. You invested the time, you invested the effort, and you were a visionary. And Walt Disney, I feel, is, of course,
me and Walt Disney in the same sentence.
Come on now. But you need to be a visionary. You need to be, his vision was, hey, I'm going to have this theme park. People are going to come.
Yeah.
And you know how hard that was? Like, think about it. To start something from the ground up, your nonprofit television production company, our new series, Remember Them. It's all about innovation. Talk is cheap.
What about these books, Mary? What about when this is, trust me, it's not about me, but this is, in all candor, 6 books in.
Yeah.
Mary's like, why we don't need another book. What are you doing? And I said, Mary, I'll use your word. I had the intention of writing a book post-COVID because I thought the leadership stuff was tougher. It's the tough stuff. It's not that everything we do makes perfect sense, but stop talking about stuff you're going to do one day.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's something, something you're going to do one day. Well, if that day doesn't come, and it is important to filter between what's really important to you. So you don't want to be one of those people that just does everything that comes to their mind. Sure, some of the great entrepreneurs maybe can succeed doing that, but definitely choose those things with intention that are those things that you're most passionate about and
have
see them through to
impact.
the end. With impact, yes, with impact.
How many times have you stopped me, Mary?
Yeah,
How
in
about
24
say-
years, we'll have to put that list together. That'll be a fun list to go through of and again, they were ideas, right? But so many of the ideas, I'm like, Steve, like, remember them. There is no better show that we do. I love it. I love one-on-one.
Our history series, our series of people who've passed away. We remembered together with Jackie Chikarica, our executive producer and on-camera co-anchor. Goodbye, that's Dr. Adubato.
And Dr. Gamba. But it is time to go. But we'll pick up the conversation the next time on Lessons in Leadership.
Yeah,
Make it a great day.
By the way, I'm reading from the chat. I'm not just saying stuff. See you next time. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, the Helix, Fedway Associates, Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.